Computer recording in progress. All right. Welcome to your favorite discussion board, Dr. Harrison.
All right,
Uh,
digital synergy, building together in virtual spaces. Okay.
so I guess, let's kind of first talk about digital tools, audiovisual elements, in media projects. I'll be honest, I haven't been very good about going too much in depth with using digital tools for projects.
Mhm.
Like obviously I've done Google Slides. I did last year do some projects on Canva to let my kids kind of create a final project instead of on paper, and I just kind of like let them go and fly. I taught them the main tools, but we definitely didn't get into like audio, virtual reality, 3D modeling kind of thing, but that would be super cool. We
It
just
would.
they aren't my kids aren't there yet. Digitally, they just don't come in with enough for me as the reading teacher to be able to teach all the reading, and then also but that would be really cool maybe in our tech apps classes for them to get them there so then I can do something within my context.
Yeah.
We have VR goggles at my campus. We just purchased 16 of them in a class VR. And so we use them we just did World War II. So we took them into like Anne Frank's secret annex space and like Pearl Harbor and D-Day, and the engagement the kids had, it just was they were so excited. It was really, really cool. And then what else is really cool about it is it connects with CoSpace. So eventually we'd love to get the kids to a point where they are creating their own virtual space and then letting other students like visit their spaces and stuff. Like maybe making a setting of their story in CoSpace, and then everybody, as they're reading the story, the kiddos can be like wearing the VR goggles, looking at the setting of their story. So anyway, it's really cool, but we're slowly getting there.
Well, and if you think about it, like all these kids are building, like my 6-year old who's finally in a different room. Um, he builds these worlds on Minecraft all the time, and he's 6 doing it on his iPad. So these kids are doing it. They're doing it in Minecraft. They're doing it in Roblox and other spaces. Heck, I was doing the same thing on Sims when I was their age. So, it's there. I think we're just kind of got away from it, maybe, or are applying it into educational setting. But I
Yeah.
a whole class set of VR goggles. That was so cool.
That is so very, very cool.
We
'Cause-
got very lucky. Our PTA handed me a lot of money last year to purchase. So we have like 3D printers now and VR goggles and STEM space materials. It's crazy.
I'm jealous.
right?
Well,
Um,
and just thinking from a context of like, especially with history and
yeah.
even science too, like pictures and videos can only do so much
Mhm.
versus like really experiencing the space. And obviously, we can't take these kids just all over, the whole United States for US history to show them places. But I know, like, for me, even as an adult, like going to the Statue of Liberty for the first time and like seeing Ellis Island, and those are things that are not really like, it's not Pearl Harbor to see like the significance of that event, but it was just something that, you always have it. You see the pictures, you see the videos, and then you're there, and you're like, wow, this is like so much different than I imagined it would be. And like you just think it's just this statue, and it's not. I don't know, and that's just like one thing that I've experienced that experiencing as an adult now the way that I think about it and envision it is so much different because I've seen it in person, and VR can create those opportunities that we can't logistically and financially create with field trips. That'd be cool, but
Yeah.
Have
Brent,
y'all ever done one of the GCU interactive experiences with your classes?
Mm-mm.
No. So last year in Avid, the other teacher that I'm always we're partners in crime. Um but we were trying to do something that was kind of interactive and more along the life lessons for our Avid students. And um we had found these interactive experiences with GCU where we wanted to do one that kind of focused on health and science and biology. And so they had this experience where the kids got to learn how to do stitches. And so they sent like the little pack. It was like a bundled, almost like a pencil bag, but it wasn't. But it had like everything you needed to do sutures in it, and it had like the silicone skin where they would practice the different types of stitches. And the person who was paired with us was like a nursing student from GCU, and they got to talk and interact back and forth. And we just used the Promethean boards and we used Teams. And we just created a class experience where we brought all of that into just our classroom. And it was really, really fun. The kids got to get feedback on their how they were doing on stitches. And it was funny because the kids were like, they were taking pictures and they were also like talking with each other about who, if something ever happened, who they would let do their stitches in the classroom. So that was really fun. And they had a whole lot of different experiences. We just did one about 2 weeks ago that was over forensics. And again, it was also like an interactive experience with I think it was like a forensics student there at GCU. So it was really making those connections. And the kids got to see and get a taste of what it might be like, doing something tactily with their fingers and hands, but also virtually, because they were able to interact with someone who is like not even anywhere close to where we were. And they were able to bring up different media and different like videos to kind of show them. And we thought that was really cool. And then of course we had everybody show up to the room to come and look. And we even had other staff members come in to learn how to do the stitches too. So that was really neat.
that's really cool. By GCU, you mean Grand Canyon University?
They
Yeah.
offer a lot of different interactive experiences, not just for science, but for everything.
That's really cool. I like that. Even like you created that experience for your Avid students, but thinking from like a CTE standpoint,
Mhm.
that would be, a really cool opportunity to be able to use just to enhance the programs that much more. I know that's something like we're really struggling with expanding our CTE programs because we have limited space and we're up for bond right now. And that's one of the big propositions that we have is to expand our facilities. Because right now, like I'm thinking of you like doing the sutures virtually with the program. Our kids in our medical program have like a large classroom with a divider that has like old beds on one side and like classroom tables on the other, and they do like double classrooms at the same time, one with the community college and one like.
Oh.
But I'm just thinking like if our bond doesn't pass, looking into maybe doing some things like that aren't really going to take up a lot of space, but just give them another opportunity somewhere else. So
Right.
pretty cool.
And that was one of the good things is it didn't require much. Like they sent us everything that we needed. It didn't cost us anything. Other than, we reserved like class time or whatever, to make it happen. But they sent us everything, and they're always looking for opportunities to do stuff like that. And of course we took back up like the forceps and things and the needles and things, but it was really cool that they were able to get what some of the nursing students got to have, like, at the university. That was really neat.
That's
We
cool.
just needed a webcam, basically, and then Teams, that just made it really possible for us. And so it was really cool.
That is cool.
Awesome.
So for my people, my students, specifically in my classroom, so I am the Adobe ambassador for my campus. So this week, my students actually started their math project, which for the end of the year. So we're ending the year with like 3 big projects for all topics, doesn't matter what class you're in. But one of them for my class is that they are having to create their own math problem from a topic that we've covered based on their grade level. Once everything is approved on that, meaning the answer is correct and the sentences make sense and the picture makes sense, then I have them go into Adobe and they have to transfer everything into Adobe. So they're learning how to use the software, but I'm not like making them just do like an informational graphic. They could also make a video where they animate their voice, or they're just showing screenshots of like how they answered this math problem, and they're explaining how to answer the math problem if you see it in another setting. Um, and I have to explain this to the staff on, I think it's Wednesday, so that they can get their students to do it, because I'm the only one that really uses Adobe on my campus for something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love the Adobe products too, like the Cloud Express.
Mm-hmm.
They actually put that in the SSO for a student, and that's the other thing. I feel like sometimes, like in districts, they put all of these different resources on a portal, an SSO portal, where the kids have access and they can use it. But there's sometimes not enough training for teachers to be able to use it, and so then a lot of teachers are left to have to just figure it out, or Sherlock Holmes it is what I usually call it. And they don't have, some don't have, they feel like they don't really have time to do that. What I've also found is that sometimes, opening up to the students and letting them decide how they want to best convey what they've learned, or if they want to tell it through a story, if they want to just do a simple PowerPoint, leaving it open for them allows us to actually see what else they can do, because we limit kids when we say, oh, you have to use this, or this is what we're going to do. And then of course you get the kids who just, they don't start because they don't know how to start. They know what they want to say, they know what they could do, they just don't know how to make it fit into the molds that we sometimes want to put on them as educators. And so letting go of the reins and having the courage to let them, show us and do things, has that, I mean, that's really how I learned a lot about, like, what we could do. And it's opened doors for other teachers in their classrooms, because they say, oh, well, I did it this way, but you did it that way, and your kids' projects were so much better. And it takes a leap of faith, and then understanding sometimes it's just not going to work out, and just having the support on your campus to know that it's okay, that it's okay for teachers to fail at a lesson. We want our kids to understand it's okay to fail. We have to have that support as professionals as well, so that sometimes we're going to try stuff, it's not going to work. It's
Yeah.
okay.
My motto in class, and the kids can repeat it to you, is you have to make mistakes in order to learn and grow. And I preach that with my kids every single year. And I wrapped up with my kids from last year. So they are always on the ball. Like, I say something wrong, or I do some math problem wrong, and the kids are like, you have to make mistakes, Mrs. Enger, to learn and grow. So it kind of like feeds back, right? You said, Lori, that not enough training, but allowing them to, be able to kind of use the digital tools how they see fit in order to show their learning. And that's exactly what I did 2 years ago. So my position changes every year. I'm a sped teacher by trade. And so depending on who I have on my caseload and who I'm required to meet with, kind of determines what I can do with technology. But 2 years ago, my team and I were like, we've got to do something more for the kids to be able to express their learning, not just, the test at the end of the unit or the test at the end of the year, but to really allow them to express themselves because they all have talents and they all have weaknesses. And so what we did throughout the year was we taught all of the Apple tools because we're one-to-one iPad in our district. And so we did like every other week we taught a new tool. So we did it first. It was a I do, we do, you do kind of a model. And then they each had to do some sort of expression using that tool after we taught it to them. And then at the end of the year, we said, okay, we've taught you all of these tools, plus others that you've randomly worked on. Show your learning. And the products that we got were amazing. I mean, they really let us know what they learned in a style that's comfortable for them. So like the kids who don't like to speak out loud in front of their peers recorded their voice and then that was shared. Or kids that are super artistic, they drew something and added notes. Like it opened up a whole new world to understanding what students really are gaining from our teaching, but allowing them to express it in their own way in a digital format because we have those opportunities.
I see
But
one struggle
yeah.
with my teachers to want to let them do like multiple options. Is they're like, but then how do I grade it? Like a rubric?
Well, I feel like we
So
had
I've had to teach them on like, how do you build a rubric? What do you like? Because then you can at least have expectations. You'd be surprised, Sarah. Like it's
Yeah, you're not wrong, Ashley, because my teachers have the
yeah.
they want specific instructions like step by step, but I'm just like, I don't understand. How did you become a teacher if you're wanting step by step instructions? You have to learn
Yes.
how to adapt. And we're going more and more into digital synergy, basically. So you got to learn how to use the tools when the opportunity presents itself. And then but your refusal just doesn't help because we got new printers on Thursday. Last Thursday, we got new printers and they are kind of spaceship-like, not an issue for me, but a lot of the teachers are like, I just don't understand. How does this work? How do I actually make copies? Where does the release?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have like 50-50 of people that will just get in there and try to figure it out.
Mhm.
And then people that they either need you to hold their hand through the entire thing 50 times before they can finally do it on their own, or they will just like give up because it's difficult. I'm like, well, how can you expect your students
Mhm.
to keep persevering through their struggles when you, a grown adult with a degree and certification, can't just get in there and figure out how to build a rubric in Google Classroom? It's not that hard.
Exactly.
It's like they're afraid to click around sometimes. I'm like, you're not gonna ruin anything. Just click around.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I tell my students too. Sometimes they're like, Miss Martinez, how do I
Mm,
change the font? And I'm like, I don't know, go figure it out.
That's a lot of
Because
times.
essentially that's technology. Like sometimes you
Mhm.
just have to figure it out.
I know I
And I
teach my
tell
kids.
them that's how it is, friends. That's how, like, y'all know Miss Martinez is techie. It's not because somebody told me how to do every single little thing. It's because I got in there and I played with it and I figured it out. So I'm not
Yeah.
telling you that to be mean, but I'm telling you that because that's the best way you can learn technology is for me to give you a few tools and then you just go play and explore and
And
have some fun with it and figure it the heck out. Right? Like just go try.
you know what I tell my kids a lot of times? I'm like, you know what? I don't know how to do that. I need you to go figure it out and show me. And they get so excited to get to show the teacher something. And then, they can bring it to me. And I'm like, of course I know how to do it. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Go show your friends. And as
I'm
soon
gonna
as
use that reverse psychology.
and then
You
one
tell
of the
me.
friends, they start, once one knows how to do it, then all of them want to know how to do it. So then it just spreads out. And I mean, I agree with everything you guys, like that's everything I've experienced, I've seen. The one thing my leadership team and I have talked about though with technology, because we're reducing our DLCs next year, and so now there's only going to be like they're going to have like 3 or 4 campuses. We're like, how are they going to support our teachers? And same thing, like some need hand holding and all these things. But what we thought about too was like, why is our teaching and learning department over here and our tech department is over here? But there's no
Mhm.
training of putting these tech options into the curriculum. Sometimes they're mentioned and it'll be like reach out to your DLC, and it's like, well, just write it into the curriculum. Just put it in, not as a reach out to your DLC, but as part of the curriculum.
Like
And
there's a disconnect at the district level of like how do we build these systems in place and these positions? And they're not necessarily new positions, they've just evolved.
mhm,
Mhm.
But when we talk, I mean, like we all said just now, like one of the biggest problems is these teachers need training on how to just get started.
mhm,
And we recently did a Google form in our district, just on like your satisfaction with professional development. And I was talking to our one instructional technologist, and she was like, yeah, the biggest, like by far, the biggest desire is technology training, but we have one
One
person.
person.
And so she was telling me that a bunch of people put dissatisfied with PD, and she said, I made a spreadsheet of all those people's names and I want to go have personal conversations with them. Like, tell me about it. Like, let's talk about it and really get down to. And she's like, some people will be like, whoa, don't come at me. Like, I was just being honest. But I told her, I was like, I was one of those people. And she was like, I know. So tell me about it. So I told her about it. But
I
like,
got a question for y'all. So, how we're talking about how, um, you know, we have a lot of teachers who just some need hand holding through the whole process of utilizing or integrating technology. And then we think about student success, and we think about like learn how a lot of these things, to me, that it makes me wonder how these people are differentiating in the classroom and its
Yes.
correlation to student success. So the people that I tried not to do this as a digital learning specialist, but like I would try really hard not to be like, oh, well, I already know what they're doing in their classroom. They're not. They're not able to see that, I could walk in and I could see a kid struggling and I could be like, oh, well, they just need it in a different way. Or, they're trying to use this technology this specific way. What if they took away that one parameter and then the kid would be fine? But to me, it's a little bit scary in that everybody needing so much training is one of the reasons why our kids are not able to be as successful as it could be. Because I mean, like Ashley was saying, we get better because we just get in there and we just start trying and we start teaching ourselves. Um, and I just wonder about that, the correlation between the huge need for training for on technology tools versus student success and how that relates to differentiation. Like, it just really makes me think about that. Like, and not even using technology, like take that out altogether. Just that whole one way of thinking is like limiting. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? What are your thoughts on that?
one thing I see in our teachers is the motto of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And I think those teachers are teaching in mind of these are my TEKS for my subject grade level. Our TEKS are our standards, Sarah. Um, these are my TEKS for my grade level subject, right? Like I'm a fifth grade English teacher. This is what I have to teach them. And that is it. That is like it's narrow mindset to get there, and they're not thinking about yeah, my kids have tech classes, right? Like they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not thinking about the 21st century learner and beyond the TEKS, what are the other things that, one, that they need to know to be successful in the world that they're going to enter into? But
Mhm.
two, how can those things actually enhance? Like, it's not this and that. It's not technology and my English TEKS. It's
Right.
how can I integrate those to enhance the English TEKS while also preparing them and letting them be creative and letting them do project-based learning. Like, and I think there's also this disconnect of like, I'm not the GT teacher, so I don't do project-based learning.
Right.
Yes, no, like
Oh.
I'm the inclusion teacher and I do project-based learning. Like I don't, because that provides the most differentiation for your students, because then
Yeah.
they really get to work on their level within their understanding, within their interests and their expertise. And yet, yes, you cannot do that on everything that you do. I get that.
Mhm.
But
There's
there's places for it and times for it. And I think there's just this narrow mindset of like, these are my math TEKS and I'm
Mhm.
teaching them and my kids are learning them and they're performing on the test. So I'm not going to do anything else. Like,
There's no adaptability or evolution
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, there's
We're
not
doing-
this like, I want to improve. And it's not everybody. It's not.
Mhm.
It's 50-50 on my campus
Right.
specifically. I have half my teachers are like, what can I do? How can I improve? I will say the most excited I've seen them, and we kind of talked about this last week, was when they opened up magic schools for our teachers last week. And I challenged our campus teachers as the campus tech to get in there and send me something for some magic school swag. And that was the teachers that I saw sending me stuff were my teachers that are normally technophobes. And I was like, oh, okay. So it just needs to make your life easier for you to
Yeah.
want to use it. But you know what? I'll take what I can get, right? They got
Yeah.
in there, they saw the importance of it. So hopefully them seeing that and playing with that tool will open up ideas for other things, because AI does think like 21st century learners, and it will generate, like, if they're like, generate this lesson plan for me for this, it will think about those types of things. So hopefully it's baby steps getting there, but I think it's mindset, especially in, I hate to say this, but especially in older teachers, because they didn't grow up in that technology era. But then you have ones that aren't. Like my mom is my partner teacher, and she's all about using any technology that's going to make her life easier, teach the kids. She's just always been like that. So it depends on the teacher, but
Yeah.
I think you
this
really hit the
narrow
nail on the head with this.
mindset.
Like you really said it. And I know like your standards are different than my standards because we're in different states, but that's kind of it. But I see a slight variance. So like you say it's mostly the older teachers. Yes, I agree with that. But I also see a comparable with the newbies, we call them.
Yes.
Oh, I
Because
definitely have some newbies that are, what?
we
You're
have some
21
newbies
years
that are
old. What do you
super
mean you don't know how
techie.
to use?
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I feel like from like my standpoint, what I see, it's more of, we are like to the dot on time frame for every single thing. We have to fit in our schedule. We have to teach ELA for this amount of time. We have to cover this amount of lessons. We have to do this from this to this to this to this. And the constant verbatim back is we don't have enough time to do anything else. And I'm like, it's not about time because it should be an integration. It should be smooth and together. But then it's like, well, when do we have time to learn it? And like that I get. And I feel like our PDs are definitely not surrounded around the things that teachers need in order to implement them together.
Mhm.
But I completely feel the same way. Like some of our teachers are like, well, this is what I have to teach, this is what I have to get through, and that's it, instead of looking at the variety of what's truly applicable to be able to differentiate. Like Lori, you said, those pieces are huge. And if they're not
Yeah.
differentiating, really, what kind of teaching are we doing?
Exactly.
I do have to get going. So Ashley, you're already host. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep it going since I'm host. It should keep, right? Because y'all have had Sarah get off before and everything was fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
as
just
long
need
as you're host.
Yeah.
I leave the meeting because you're a host, and then mine doesn't have a cutoff time. It can go on forever.
Forever and ever. We can
Yeah.
sleep with it on.
Forever and ever and ever.
All
Thank
right,
you,
bye,
Sarah.
Have a good weekend. So let's kind of get back to some of the some of these questions down here kind of specifically are relating to media projects and the integration
Yeah.
of AI tools for multimedia projects. I know we've been talking about multimedia projects, but I guess let's kind of specifically talk about using AI tools to enhance those projects and how they can improve efficiency and creativity when you're building those things.
I know that I had my third grade teachers this year. They wanted to do podcasting with their kids with science. And so we were really, like, again, we're really lucky. We have some like podcast equipment, like microphones and stands and lighting and all the good stuff. And so, you know, we kind of I talked to them about first they're going to use Canva to do the podcast. So we talked about like, let's just give them Canva during warm up times to just explore for like a week or so before we do the actual podcasting. So again, you know, like what we talked about, just let them explore, figure it out. So there's less we have to show them later. And so we got them on there. They did the stuff. They wrote their scripts. Some of them are like amazing. They were like rapping in their podcast. It's hilarious. It was so great. But what we did was we put Magic School AI in there. They have a podcasting tool in there to help them write their scripts out. So they were able to use that when, you know, the teacher we did it during science time. So the teacher was in her room working with kids. I was in the pod working with some kids, but again, like still can't help all the kids. So the ones that we couldn't get to is like, hey, go to Magic School, use the podcasting tool to help you. And so they were helping themselves and we were getting coverage when there wasn't enough of us. So it was a really cool tool to use at the time. So yeah, that's how we've used it, and it was really cool. I look forward to seeing like this next year too, when it's like I think teachers are being exposed to it even more. I know last year it was really big in my district, but at my campuses, we were so focused in on innovation projects like Innovation Day, Innovation Lab, and things like that, that I was like, let's let AI settle this year. And then this year, we kind of picked 3 tools. Like we used Magic School, School AI, and Chat GPT. Like those were the ones we were going to highlight through the year so that it wasn't so overwhelming. Because like I was getting overwhelmed with all the DLCs emailing constantly. Check out this AI, check out this AI. Oh, this one's behind a paywall now. This one's behind a pay. It was so like I was like, oh my God, my mind hurts. And if my brain hurts, then my teacher's brains are gonna hurt. So we're just gonna chill for a little bit. So anyway, all that to just basically say AI is cool. And next year I think it's gonna be even bigger on my campus.
Yeah, I definitely think that I agree with that 100%. I think that we could kind of look at it from the standpoint of letting the AI to help with like the production part of it, but letting the kids more focus on their self-expression and the creativeness and the what they're trying to get out there, and the AI can actually help save that time and that normally would take like a whole lot longer because before AI, when we have video projects or, we're going to let the kids do multimedia, we used to have to allow them like 3 weeks to do or something like that. Well, the AI can help like make it more efficient and allow them to really do what they really wanted to do. And you get less of that. Well, if I had had more time, I would have wanted to, you get less.
Yeah, because I like the AI portion of Adobe Express because I'm teaching math, but I teach resource math. So my kids need a little bit more of a boost than others when it comes to any type of tool. And it actually allows them to speak what they're wanting to show so that that the AI can create it, and then they can animate it by like saying what they're trying to say. by recording their voice.
Mhm.
So I really like AI. I like if you use it properly, it will enhance the students' learning, but a lot of things that I have seen has not enhanced the students' learning, and it's just based on like how the person has learned how to use it for themselves and then are introducing it to to students. Um,
I love that Adobe Animate. I think that is the cutest thing.
it is. But I do also have to go finish helping a friend move, and we have to pick up the truck at 10. So I will see you guys later.
Bye, Monique.
Bye.
Yeah, Lisa, when you were talking, I was thinking about like, so I went to TCA last year and this year, and you go to these presentations, and it's like this AI tool, this AI tool, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so
Overwhelming.
many.
Yeah.
And that's why I've just kind of, and I know there's so many out there that are awesome, but I've just like stuck with and hunkered down with Magic Schools because it's so school tailored.
Yes.
I mean, also they have all the right like privacy compliances. I mean, obviously I started using Notebook LM. But I mean, it helps me, so I can't imagine like moving over to the student side. I mean, it just helps me streamline. Like, I have all these ideas and I want to do this and this and this, and I'll put it in there and I'm like, can you help me like just put it in the right order that would make the most sense? Because sometimes when I have all of this like brain overload of like, I want to show them all these things, where do I even start? It just kind of helps me really like get going.
Yeah.
Or then I go, yeah, you coughed under your shirt.
I think it settles my brain down because like you said, you can be overloaded with all these different ideas.
Mhm.
And you can put it in there and then just be like, okay, what is the best way to do whatever? And then just, it takes out things. And I'm like, yeah, that makes more logical sense than
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
gonna do.
Yes. Same. That's exactly like the good thinking partner. I always am like, oh, ChatGPT is my thinking partner. Just let me put it in here, and
Yes.
I'm having to work with I can't remember if I told y'all this last week, but I have to do I'm pulling small groups for 5th grade.
Mm.
We've had a teacher that left. Anyway, it's been a mess. And so we're pulling them, and I'm having to teach them inferencing and then main idea. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, let me see what I can pull up. So I'm going to ChatGPT. I put in like our lesson plan template, the TEKS, like what they're missing, what they need to work on, and just saying, create me a lesson. And it's just like creates the lesson.
Yep.
And I just go in and I'm like, okay, hold on. I like this. I'm going to change this part. And then the next thing we did this week that I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? I scanned all of their work from like one of the small groups. I scanned all of their work and then put it into ChatGPT and said, analyze their work and
Yeah.
give me teach points for them. And it didn't do it great. Like it definitely still needs some work, but I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I always forget about that next step in data. Like
I
just
will say I have to double check ChatGPT a little bit more than other things.
Yeah.
I scanned it, right? I'm done teaching reading well, not done. That sounded terrible. Our test is over. My kids have taken it, and so now I'm supporting our math teacher with math lessons until her test is over. And then we'll switch into novel study. And she gave me like one of their countdown to star packets, and I just didn't want to do it all right then. And so I scanned it into ChatGPT, and it definitely gave me the wrong answers on like half of them. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe not.
so that is something I've noticed in the past month with ChatGPT for the first time ever. I've been using it pretty regularly since last semester in our data classes. I don't know about you guys, but that data class was like what killed me was when they gave us like 5 different different documents of data. And I'm like
Oh.
having to switch back and forth. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. So I uploaded all the data and I said, basically put it all together so I can like look at one document.
Mhm.
And it's been really accurate. It's had all this stuff. But in the past month, I've asked ChatGPT something about a TV show that I was watching, and it like gave a really, like if I hadn't been watching the show, I would have just assumed that that was the answer, but it was way off. And then when
Makes
I
me
put
wonder
in,
if they're experimenting with their language models and maybe
uh,
it's
yeah,
caused some issues.
that's what I said that just the other day too. I said I feel, because when I was uploading their work and trying to get it to analyze it, and it was like kind of messing up and it wasn't perfect, and it was like, oh, I was like, I wonder if like this model they're doing something tweaks with it and it's just not
Mhm.
coming out good, because it's the least accurate I've seen it in this like month.
Well, you
Well, and I
definitely
think
have
like
to
when
give it
we,
some refining, like
oh
refining
yeah,
prompts to help it like start to like correct itself. Like that's a big part of it too.
I
So
kept going, I'm confused. This isn't even what's on their paper. Like, look at what I just attached. And it was like, oh, sorry, hold on. And then it would analyze it, do okay for like two of them, and then it would mess up on the rest. Then
mhm.
I noticed when I just put in one student's work and said analyze it, it did it perfect. But when I
Yeah,
put all of them in there together,
it's a lot.
it didn't work. So I was like, okay.
overwhelmed it.
You know, I was like, well, I don't have
I
time to
wonder
sit
if it
here
was
at 11.
thinking that all of the student samples were one student.
Maybe it was just I was just like, okay, this isn't working the way I wanted it to, but I know like I can do it, you know?
Yeah. Now,
But
kind of switching gears into like specifically multimedia for AI, I'll be honest, I've dabbled. I've used the Canva AI tool. It's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you some weird stuff sometimes. And I think maybe I'm trying to be too specific. I don't
I
know.
think I
But
think
it'll
you
like
have to get an
misspell
AI tool that's
things.
specific for that platform. Like so, for example, like with YouTube videos, you need a specific YouTube AI, like something that's built specifically for that. Because like if you just try to get like one platform, like and stick with that one platform, they all have their specialties, and it's like trying to buy an appliance that does five different things when
Yeah.
you know it's going to do it, but it's not going to do it as well because it's not specialized. That's what I've been finding a lot.
See,
Yeah.
and I just haven't dabbled in it that much. Like with on Canva, I was using they have like a word picture AI where you can make like the word
Yeah.
Yeah.
fall out of pumpkins, right? Or whatever. Um, and so and once or twice it was fine. And then there were some times where it would misspell the word, like you mean the word I typed in, like and that was like that's all the tool is for. But so it's I mean it's hit and miss, and I think it's just a refinement. You know, the technology is out there, and it's only going to get better. And it's like you said, finding those specialized tools
Mhm.
for whatever you're doing. And I know like getting into this, there's another question about how these digital tools facilitate teamwork and communication. And I feel like, even just us in this Zoom does that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But when we talk about using Canva or even just Google Slides, you can all of those can be shared and collaboratively worked on.
I
I
will
don't know
say,
about Adobe. I haven't gotten into like I've used it personally, but I haven't used it in the classroom or collaboratively with students. Well, I lie. That's not true. I was doing some like summer work for my husband, who is the like digital operations person at the company he works for. So he does like all of their Amazon storefront marketing. And they do have a like the online suite login, and so then they
Mhm.
can work on the same projects. I think that's how it works. It's been a while, but um just obviously being able to like share and keep everything cloud based keeps things able to be collaborated on from multiple computers, multiple places.
that's my Canva. So like I have So two different things. This is the thing too, is I feel like sometimes teachers, and I don't know about like in secondary, but in elementary, a lot of times I think teachers don't give the kids enough credit on what they can do. And
Yeah.
or if there's one incident, they'll shut it down immediately, right? And not try to just have a discussion about it. Because so I did a Google Classroom, for our last class, we had to create like a project that was online. So I had a Google Classroom for them to make a 3D quilt square that we print out. So they made it on Tinkercad, and then we're printing it out and we're going to weave it all together. But they've used Google Classroom to get all this stuff. Well, when I first launched it, they inappropriate comments on that the first hour it was
The
launched.
commenting.
And so I went in and I, under each one, was like, ma'am, I will be emailing your parents and teachers and yada, yada, yada. And I just copy pasted on all of them. And that was beginning of February. We have not had an issue since. When they comment, they ask questions, they help each other. One's like, where do I find this? Oh, go here. Here's the link to this. And oh, this is how you do it. I'll show you later in class. And so I made sure to tell the teachers, like, y'all need to go look at what your students are doing. Like,
Mhm.
they messed up one time, and instead of taking it away, I just addressed it and said,
That's
fix
a
it.
teachable moment.
Yeah, and they like took care of business, and it's been amazing to see. And
Yeah.
then like on my other campus, we do Canva for our announcements. And I have editors. So every Friday the editors meet and they edit all the slides to get it ready for the morning announcements. And when I'm not there on Fridays, as long as I send it to them and give them, permissions in there, they edit all on their own. They take care of it. And they're like, okay, we're done, Miss Hockenberry, completely on their own. And I'm just always like, and they're doing it from their own computers, and they're taking care of the slides they need to take care of. And I'm just always like, God, these kids, like, I think that's part of it. Like in my class, like I've never been afraid to let when I had second graders or third graders, to just dive in, try it, let's see what happens. If it fails, it fails, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Some teachers are like, oh no, I can't let them do
Can't
that.
lose that time.
Yes. And it's like, just try.
What are we trying to
And
do
even
here?
if it fails, there were still teachable parts. Like they
Yeah.
still learned something. It might not have been as polished and final as
Ask
you
the kids what was
wanted it
wrong
to
with
be,
it.
but there were things that they learned along the way.
Yes. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, they're so quick because whenever that happened on Google Classroom with all the comments, one of the teachers was like, can we just shut down comments? Can you just turn it off? And I'm like, no.
They're
Like,
gonna need to learn how to do
Just
that
hold them to
appropriately.
expectations.
yeah, like exactly. Like, no, we can't just take something away just because we had a bump in it, like we gotta like address it, fix it. Cause for the majority that most of the time, all of the kids will be great. You might have that one or two you still have to talk to. But I haven't had an issue literally since that first day. And it's just like I was looking through it yesterday and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of them. Like, look at them helping each other.
Oh my
And
gosh, have y'all read a book? It's called Digital for Good. You should read it.
no, okay.
Digital for Good.
Digital for Good. It's a really good read. It came out, let's see.
Will you send it in the chat? So I don't
Yes.
forget.
It's by Richard Cullotta. It's a great book. And it talks about it's good for parents and it's good for teachers. Everybody should read it, I think. And it kind of helps like frame things in a different mindset. Like you were saying, just because, when the kids were inappropriately commenting, we're not just shutting it down. We're reframing it, and then also just helping the kids to learn how to make a good balance themselves. Like, what are you doing online? That, not,
Well, yeah, because these kids are going home, and I don't care how old they are. My fifth graders are on TikTok and Instagram, and a lot of them, their parents are not monitoring what they're doing.
nope.
And if
They're on TikTok 'cause they know
if
all the
our
dances.
solution in class is they had inappropriate comments on Google Classroom or their Canva or Canvas or whatever, and I just
Mhm.
turned off comments, that didn't teach them anything, right? Like then
Right.
the conversation is, well, what are you putting out in the world, right? Does it make,
Mhm.
is it kind, like is it appropriate? Is it right? Is it
Yes.
true?
Yep.
Because these are the same kids that I mean, they are already at, unfortunately, very young ages getting on social media platforms that they shouldn't even legally be on, right? Because they're supposed to be 13, but
Right?
they're on them anyways, and they're posting things. And I mean, I see some of my old students, like they don't remember, I guess, that I followed them on TikTok so I could keep an eye on them. And some of the things that they were posting videos to, I'm like, are you what?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. And my daughter is a sixth grader, and she's like, her friends have TikTok, and I'm like, absolutely not. When you are
Mhm.
old enough to be responsible for your actions, so 18, then you can get on social media. Maybe we'll consider it at 16, but until then,
Yeah.
no, you do the dumbest things not on social media. So why in the world would I let you? But really and truly, like these learning management systems we have, these online classes are these online communities like social media.
Yeah.
And
They mimic them.
Like,
and are they
yes,
going to make the same decisions out in the real world? No, probably not. But I've at least given them the opportunity and the modeling and the guidance and the expectations
How
to
they
do
should
the
be
right
using it.
thing. And so hopefully that'll bleed over at least partially into their use of it in the real world until they grow their frontal lobe.
well, that's
Right.
Seesaw at our campus or in our district. We have Seesaw, and some campuses choose to close Seesaw down so like they can't see each other's work. But on my campuses, I've always been a proponent of like, no, it needs to be open because
Be open.
A, there's that feed of getting to see each other's work and be able to comment and give feedback to each other. You know, we have a little downtime, you're a fast finisher, go give some feedback.
And then they get ideas from the other kids about
Yeah, they
things like,
do.
"Oh, I didn't even realize." I mean, I do that here with our classes. I see the stuff y'all post. I'm like,
It's
oh,
it's our online class community. And
yeah.
our teachers, I had a teacher who she was adamant. She was like, I don't like that. I don't like that
my
it's
Barbie and
okay. I'm
my
not gonna do it as
Kelsey.
long as it's open like that. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, well, you do you, boo. Like, I can't like,
I'm gonna have to disagree on this one.
yeah, it's like I can't make you, but this is the reasoning of everything of why. And she just didn't agree with it. And I was just like, okay, fine. But
You want to say hi?
my kids were, I feel like my community was better in my classroom because that was one component of my classroom.
Hey guys, girl, this is my daughter. She's a sophomore at Geyer High School. So I've actually had the pleasure of getting to watch her in her classes. So I get to hear a lot about who's doing what. And like you learn really quick, and the things that I was suspecting, I actually get to know about them because she's in their classes.
That's me with my daughter. She's on my campus, and so I get that insight. And I'm like, hey, what do you know about this situation?
Uh-huh.
Tell me what you know.
And I love
You want
it
a
so
ponytail?
much too, because like, I get to get a real gauge on like what are the kids doing when this is the project, what's happening, are people doing it? Are they not doing it? What do they think about this? So that's been really cool. But yeah, Lexi, these are some of my classmates, some of my favorite people. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you'll probably get to see, are you all going to graduation?
Yes.
I don't think I am. It's
Oh,
up in the air. I might. We'll see. We'll see.
I hope everyone's there so we can all get to spend some time together.
That would be
Or
very
go to dinner or something.
That sounds amazing. Well, Lexi wants me to go take her to the gym, so I'm gonna have to break away.
I
Yeah.
went before.
And I need to go too.
Yeah, Ashley's already done. She's already done her workout today.
Just all over it.
So well, I guess anytime y'all this week, I'm gonna try to work on. I've got to get my stuff done for tomorrow. I still got a long way to.
Same.
Same.
So I'll be on. I'm gonna be in the group me.
I'll be
Okay,
there
okay.
too.
I'm gonna go ahead and we gotta get ready to go to T-ball too. So
Yeah, I gotta go too. All right.
all right.
Guys.
All right, guys.
Alrighty.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.